Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Circus Monkey Sports. My name is Gavin, and of course, I am the Circus Monkey. We are live as usual on our wonderful Sunday evening. We're on Circus Monkey Sports. We're live on Game Changer Sports Network, Talk Interference Sports, and we also do have our Twitch page for those of you who ever want to check that out. Feel free. We're going to upload some other content and things there as time goes on. So, as I mentioned, it is Sunday, which again, I appreciate everyone joining in with us. We're on episode 55. And I want to say a big thank you to everybody out there in the community, the Circus Monkey community, the Game Changer community. Couldn't do this without you guys. Since we last spoke, we have gained nearly 100 additional likes and follows. Couldn't do it without the likes of you guys. The partnership with Game Changer has been tremendous. And if you guys saw the post I had earlier today, there's so much more to come, right? There's some big things in the work, both here on Circus Monkey in partnership with Game Changer. There's big things about to come. So I want you guys to just stay tuned. Watch the shows every week. Every day of the week we have something going on, and with the exception of Friday, we leave you alone on those days. But every other day we have something coming to you. On Sundays, it's me here at Circus Monkey Sports, and then you see me again tomorrow on the Wind Up with Nick Lombardi on Game Changers. So thanks again, everybody, for jumping in. We'll give everybody just a moment to get things started, and we'll get things going. Got to fix one thing here with us real quick. We are good on that. Yep, we're good. So we're good there, Jake. All right, we'll get rolling. So we're going to start things off today with the NBA. For those of you who haven't been following, we have a lot of things, a lot of great things happening in the NBA. We have the playoffs officially starting tomorrow. So for those of you who haven't been watching, you need to. It's about to get really exciting. We've had some premier teams playing like crap, and we've had some lower-end teams just playing out of their minds. With that being said, people being out of their minds, we're going to start off talking a little bit of a Giannis, the Greek freak in Milwaukee. For those of you who didn't watch a few days ago, they played a game, and there was a hard foul with Giannis going to the basket where he met up with Mo Wagner, and he took exception to the way they played the game. I didn't see anything wrong with it, and I'm a Giannis fan, but he didn't like what happened. They exchanged words. Next time down the court, they had another interaction, and Giannis just lost it, walked right up, and he actually headbutted him. You can see in the picture, and if you want to guys go back to my page, there is the video clip. It's only 3 seconds long. Go check it out. He blatantly walks up and just smashes heads with him. It wasn't where they were face-to-face and they bumped heads. He blatantly went after him, which is not traditional Giannis. He does get fired up, but he generally keeps his cool. He might get in someone's face, but I haven't seen him get into a physical altercation, and I've watched the majority of his career. So something to keep an eye on. He only got suspended for the final seeding game, did not get any suspension into the regular playoff games coming up. Some people feel that there's a little favoritism in that direction. I'm obviously a little biased being a Milwaukee Bucks fan. I don't necessarily see a lot of it. At the same time, I definitely agree that it probably should have been a game or two instead of just one. Additional, should I say, instead of just the one, which would have put him into the playoffs. And since he is a MVP candidate, the leader of the Bucks, you obviously don't want that included in the type of season we're already having. So it doesn't terribly surprise me, and there might be a little bit of favoritism from the league that direction. But the Bucks have a good team this year, so with him, it makes a big difference. Hopefully he plays very well. They come out and play some exciting basketball. That would be fantastic. But if we really want to talk about some exciting basketball and some really great things, the guy to watch right now is Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is the MVP of the bubble, of the return to the bubble here. So playing lights-out basketball. He brought his team back from a chance to make the playoffs into the official 8th seed. They had the play-in game with the Memphis Grizzlies, who had that spot. And they beat him again. They beat him in the first game of the bubble, and they just beat him again the other night, getting them into the playoffs. And right now, Lillard's playing great basketball. Carmelo Anthony's playing, like a young guy again. He's hitting clutch threes to really finish off the game. Obviously, the score went beyond when his last shot went into the basket, but it really was kind of the dagger shot. Started forcing the Grizzlies to have to foul and do those things, and ended up leading to the win. So Melo's playing like a young man. Lillard's playing like an MVP candidate. He isn't this year, but he will be again in those talks as the seasons go on. So congratulations to the Blazers for making it in towards the end there. It was a hell of a run to get them in. David says, "Go Blazers, beat LA." Anytime LA loses, America wins. So Kanohi, what's up, my brother? Aloha. How good you doing, man? Good to see you again. Long time no see. It's Kanohi's another one of my Hawaiian brothers. If you don't know, I was born in Hawaii. I don't necessarily look like it, but I am. My father was military. I was born out on the island. So, and excited to have you here, buddy. Appreciate you stopping by. So continuing on with what we're talking about, we talked about the playoff bracket, okay? And things are about to get very, very interesting. You got, as I mentioned, you got the Grizzlies losing out to the Blazers, so the Blazers will now face LA. This might be one of the better 8 seeds we've seen in a very long time. And a lot of it has to do with just momentum, and they're firing on all cylinders. They've got their heads together in the bubble. LA has not played that great of basketball. Now, they still have LeBron. They still have Anthony Davis. And at the end of the day, when you're talking LeBron and Anthony Davis, it's hard to compete with those two guys. And it should be fun to watch, considering Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James are such great friends. Does Melo get the better of LeBron, who's the favorite, obviously, or does LeBron put his Cinderella story back to bed? And it's gonna be a blast, right? Melo's playing great. LeBron is great. Again, the Lakers should win that series regardless of how well the Blazers are playing. But we could see an 8 seed upset of 1. On the other side, we do have the Bucks playing against Orlando. I don't necessarily think we're going to see an upset when it comes to that 1 seed. Anything is possible, of course. But I still watch out for the Toronto Raptors out of the in the East, as well as the Boston Celtics. Those teams are fantastic. One of those 3 teams, along with the Bucks, should end up winning that conference. I still think we're going to end up probably seeing Boston versus Milwaukee. I think the Milwaukee's still going to take over and beat Toronto. Toronto's playing great basketball, but without Kawhi, they don't think they have enough firepower to shut down Giannis like they did last year. Could be very wrong, but I think we'll see Milwaukee and Boston fighting it out. LA is likely to make it, and then I think a dark horse team coming out of the West. Watch out for the Dallas Mavericks playing good basketball. You got Luka and Porzingis putting some additional time together, and I think that could be a team to watch to face up against LA to get to the finals. So a lot of good basketball to be played. Nick, what's up, my man? Appreciate it. You are the man. Nick is one of my other partners here. He was on earlier. If you guys didn't check it out, go back and watch it. If you like the UFC, any other type of fighting sports, that is one of the guys to talk to. We do a show during the week as well, but he did something in review of the fights last night, which were phenomenal fights. So go check out his just a 30-minute quick show talking about it. So check it out. Scroll back either through my page or go to Game Changer and check it out. Okay. So Nick, thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate it greatly. So that's the playoff bracket. So NBA, again, not a lot else going on, obviously, inside the bubble. Some other things going on. We've seen some coaching changes, very kind of minimal. Chicago let go of Coach Jim Boylan, so look for a replacement there. Also, the bigger, I don't want to call it a surprise. I guess I'm slightly surprised considering the season, but you have to look at the overall time frame. The Pelicans fired Alvin Gentry. He had a record of 175 and 225, so it's not a good record, right? But he hasn't had a great team. He had Anthony Davis injured. He had Zion injured this year. I kind of wonder if they might kind of give him a pass. I don't want to call it a pass, but give him a pass this one time through and see what he can do with the full year. Hey, John, what's up, buddy? How you doing? I appreciate you stopping in. John's another one of my big-time fans, stops in every week. Thank you so much for stopping by, John. But, yeah, Alvin Gentry, not getting a full season with Zion, plus the weird bubble year and all this craziness with COVID. I thought maybe they'd give him one more year. I had a feeling you'd see some of those opportunities when you had a team with some sort of star power on it. Not the case in this situation. I might watch for a guy like a Tyronn Lue to jump in at one of those positions, but very much you might see him with the Pelicans. He's got some history, obviously, coach. I don't know, he was a great coach before, but he's got some history coaching stars and with some young players and done a decent job. So maybe see a guy like Tyronn Lue jump into that position. But check out for more of that. Go to Game Changer Facebook page. We got Elizabeth, who's one of our basketball hosts, later in the week. She did an article on a lot of the stuff. So go check that out. Get more information on basketball in general from her. She's phenomenal. Okay? So that's really basketball in general. Watch the games. They start tomorrow night. I am super, super hyped myself. But let's get into some interesting NFL news, right? NFL is a little bit less than a month away now, but we got some crazy things going on. And one of them being Alex Smith was cleared off the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, after 17 surgeries, almost 2 years. He had sepsis that nearly cost him his leg and his life, right? On November 18th of 2018 is when he had the horrific accident on the field where his leg was just mangled. I remember watching it very vividly. It's not one that you miss very often, forget very often, should I say. It's incredible that he's even able to walk again, let alone be able to be cleared to participate in football activities. Now, anybody who follows him or anybody else on like Instagram or Twitter, I think that there is a video that scares me a little bit. And it's not my life, so it's not up to me, but there was a video of him celebrating with his family. They popped champagne bottles, and we're hosing him down with it, which is really cool and exciting that they got to do it as a family. But the scary part comes in is that he still had a noticeable limp, right? And if you go back and look, he definitely favors that one. It almost feels like there's just this little hitch in his knee every time. And his leg definitely isn't back to what a traditional leg would look like. He's had so many surgeries and the pins and all that. You can't expect it to look normal. But you know it's not a good thing when he has to continually have it wrapped, even though he's not playing and he hasn't practiced today. He's got it wrapped just for every day. So I'm concerned for the guy. I'm excited for him. Don't get me wrong. I am super excited for him that he can even get back out there. Every team he has been on is better for having had him, right? You think about his time in San Francisco, and they did a great job. He passed the ball off to Colin Kaepernick. Took him deep into a playoff run. Then in Kansas City, he held things down. He had great runs in Kansas City, and he held it until Patrick Mahomes showed up, and then it was time for that. Then he went to Washington and was actually playing great football for Washington, which is rather unusual. He's playing great football out there, and then this accident happens, and it leads to what it's at. So having him back, I don't know that he'll ever see the field outside of maybe, taking a knee. And maybe that's all he's hoping for. Be a part of it. Get back on the field one last time. We'll see. I mean, there's still a lot of time before the season comes back around, before we'll find anything out about that. But just exciting just in general. I couldn't be any more happy for the guy considering what he's had to come back to in just a 2-year time period. It's phenomenal. And congrats to Alex Smith. Speaking of congratulations, we do have some big congratulations for two of the top tight ends in the game. You got George Kittle signing a 5-year, $75 million deal to stay in San Francisco. The guy's put up some serious numbers. He didn't have a great Super Bowl, but you figure he was one of the main reasons he got as far as they did. A safety blanket for a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a big deal. They got some injuries at wide receiver, so look for his numbers to stay very, very high. Just incredible athlete. He's not only a pass catching tight end, but he also can block and play kind of an all around tight end that you look for. Not strictly the type that's more of just a wide receiver type tight end, but he can do a little bit of everything. And then shortly, almost immediately after George Kittle signed the deal, you got Travis Kelce, who is the safety blanket for Patrick Mahomes. They're going to be locked together. Mahomes just signed a massive deal. Chris Jones signed a massive deal. So I don't know where Kansas City keeps finding the money, but kudos to them. They had almost no cap money, reworked some stuff, signed a bunch of guys, and they signed Kelce to a 4-year extension worth $57.25 million. Absolutely crazy numbers. Brandon Herrera, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Brandon's another one of our pretty much every day, every show here on Circus and on Game Changer stops in. So thank you so much for doing so, Brandon. Good to see you, buddy. But so the two big tight ends in the game lock it up. They deserve the contracts. They've done a great job. Actually, if you look at the numbers, Kelce has actually outperformed in the same amount of time beyond George Kittle. But I think Kelce also understands what the money is worth to stick around a guy like Patrick Mahomes. When you have guys like Sammy Watkins, when you have Tyreek Hill, you got a great rookie running back coming in to be as a complement. So it is fantastic to watch that team find a way to stick together. I look forward to seeing those guys play. Congrats again to Kelce and Kittle on big deals. So that's kind of on the offensive side of the ball. There were some other linemen and but when we're talking some of the flashier names, those were really kind of the primary offensive weapons that got signed. We're going to move to the defense, and we saw a out of the blue signing from the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys reach out and sign Everson Griffin, the longtime multi-Pro Bowl defensive player from the Vikings, to a 1-year, $6 million deal, which for a guy of his caliber, and I know he's been around for a little while, but that's a pretty good deal, especially for Dallas. When you figure they add that to a lineup that has Gerald McCoy, you got Dante Poe, you got DeMarcus Lawrence. If they get Randy Gregory back, they got Tyron Crawford. That is going to be a very dangerous defensive line. Makes you wonder what's going on down in Dallas. If they haven't put the money, they're putting money into the defense and some of the other guys, but they haven't put it together with Dak. And I know they're past the time frame, but now they're spending this money. Does it start to make Dak irrelevant? Do you start to not worry about a guy like Dak when you have Andy Dalton? You can always go out and draft another young guy down the road. But if you build up a strong defense, and you look at the years that they've won Super Bowls, obviously they had Aikman, Emmett, Irvin, those types of guys. But look at the defense they had at the same time. That defense was as scary, if not more scary, than the offense. Brandon Herrera says the Vikings made a mistake letting him walk. I would agree with you. That it was a big mistake for the Vikings. Now, Brandon's absolutely right. Mistake there that there was also conversation that he might be being suited by Seattle Seahawks, right? They haven't signed Clowney. They haven't signed him, but they haven't lost him. Clowney's still out there. But what does that mean for Seattle? You sign Griffin, then you don't worry about Jadeveon Clowney. But then they miss him. Dallas swoops in and signs him to a 1-year, $6 million deal. Again, 1 year, $6 million for a guy with that kind of resume is a great steal for the Dallas Cowboys, and a big loss, especially for the Vikings, and a missed opportunity for Seattle. The other guy on the screen there is Packers nose tackle Kenny Clark. Now, I'm here from the Green Bay, from Wisconsin, so I'm a big Green Bay guy. Watch a lot of their games. They signed him to a 4-year, $70 million deal. Comes with $25 million in the way of signing bonuses. So if the season doesn't happen or if he gets hurt, he's still getting paid a significant amount of money. So congratulations to him. Now, here's where it gets interesting. He's been a great player. He's been very productive. He's not considered a top tackle in the game, but he's one of them, right? But he is now the highest paid nose tackle in history and the 12th highest paid defensive player currently in the NFL. So he got paid. He's going to be in a position where they're going to expect a lot out of him, and he can perform. I think they need to put some more complementary players around him. I think they need to really drive that defense behind him, and they're going to be okay. Green Bay's in a weird situation, but they lock up a key defensive piece. They do have some younger corners like Jair Alexander and a few others they do not have to worry about, but they locked up their main man on the line. Watch for him to have a fantastic year. So really cool again for those guys. But it leads me to the next question, right? Where is Jadeveon Clowney? What's going on with him, right? And I know we had an article written out on the Game Changer this week about it. What it comes down to, it almost has to be, I can't see any other question, is he's just got too high of a price tag right now. And you look at a deal like Everson Griffin, he takes a 1-year, $6 million deal. Now, how is that going to affect a deal for Jadeveon Clowney, right? Clowney is arguably a more athletic, a more powerful player, but he is also injury prone. He can't stay out for a full season. And he's not had as many great seasons to maybe command some money. So while he might have been looking for $15-20 million, you're getting a guy like Griffin at a deal on 6. How does that change the market for Clowney? Is he going to start maybe in his agent start looking for deals now and maybe try to find some middle ground? Or does he wait late? Does he try to do a 1-year prove-it deal again for himself and try to sign somewhere? Or is somebody willing to step up? Maybe the market heats up now that they've seen the kind of money they were able to give to a guy like Griffin. Maybe that changes the way some of the stuff is done. Brandon says, what can the NFL learn before their season starts about COVID virus from the MLB, what they're doing or not doing? So we've been talking about this, especially on the baseball show on Monday nights. This is everything for them, right? The way baseball handles everything will determine if there is even an NFL season. And as of right now, they're trending in the right direction to have the season. They're creating their own bubbles without having the same way that the NHL and the NBA did, where they truly locked everything down to make sure nothing happened. Baseball didn't do it, and they're slowly finding their ways into figuring out how to get it done, right? Teams are, instead of letting them play like they did when the Marlins had their outbreak and then it caused another outbreak, they've now, the minute one person, front office or player tests, they're shutting them down, the series is over, and they're doing double headers down the road, right? And that's how baseball is going to get through it. And they've created, stronger protocols, and now we saw with like the Indians, they voted to have their pitchers, Clevenger and Plesac, not come back to the rotation right away after they were cleared to do so. They're pissed, right? Those guys are not happy with them, and so they're not even letting the players are not wanting them back on the team. So we're going to see that the NFL's got to watch, and they got to hold themselves accountable. They got to hold their teammates accountable. That is something they absolutely have to start doing. And if that's the case, if they do that, then the season's going to get through. And a lot of teams, like I said, are doing voluntary bubbles, right? They're not requiring it yet, and it might get to that point. But they're leading towards bubbles within the teams. They're keeping them within hotels. And the test result numbers are stupid low right now, bouncing back from the COVID test. So, and the MLB is about to talking about doing a playoff bubble, right? Where anybody that makes it, then they truly lock everything down to try to get through the playoffs. I think if that is done and is successful, you're definitely going to see that when it comes time for the NFL playoffs. So, Kanohi, what do we got here from you, man? What player do you think will benefit most fantasy-wise from the off-season moves that have been made? This is going to be the year for young players, in my opinion. Shortened time frames. You're going to have either a boom or bust. We were talking about this on football a couple of weeks ago. I think you're going to see a guy like, especially with rookie-wise, Edward Hellier from Kansas City. He's got a huge opportunity down there. You got a guy of Jefferson, wide receiver in Minnesota, have huge opportunities like that. I think it leads in the favor of those guys. But I think you're also going to see that veteran teams that have had time together before just this season. So opposite direction, it's going to affect the Tom Brady in a negative fashion. It's going to affect, look at, the young quarterbacks that are going to play. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati, negative effect. I think you look at Phillip Rivers in Indy, negative effect. You need to find these teams that have been together for a while. There's an opportunity for players like New Orleans to play very well. Drew Brees could have a great season from this because he's had that continuity together, hasn't lost a lot. You might look at a team, even in Dallas. I know I'm a little biased being a Cowboys fan. You might see some benefit there. Green Bay got a bunch of veteran guys that have been around, veteran QB in the same system with the same coach. There's opportunities. But yeah, I think any veteran player is going to have the opportunity. Brandon Herrera says Teddy Bridgewater will be a fantasy stud. Teddy Bridgewater will either be a massive fantasy boom or an absolute total bust, right? He's got the benefit of a decent offensive line, a couple of weapons in wide receivers, but he's got a fantastic running back named, obviously, Christian McCaffrey. And anytime you have a running back like Christian McCaffrey, you can catch the ball and run the ball, right? He is a complete three-down back. That is going to make you better. Teddy Bridgewater had a chance to learn from Drew Brees for a little bit of time there. You got a chance to learn from Sean Payton there for a while. So now he's going to step in. But again, the only downside to a guy like Teddy Bridgewater in a season like this is he doesn't have as much time on the field and in the study rooms with the guys that he's playing with to really grow from this. So I would expect Bridgewater to do well. I don't know that he'll be a fantasy stud. I think I'm leaning towards this season being more of the guys that have been around with their teams for a long time, veteran players. Of course, there is going to be a rookie that lights it up. It could be Joe Burrow. You could look at a veteran guy like Teddy Bridgewater in a new team. They could break out, but I wouldn't expect them to have the huge seasons, except those teams that maybe have a bunch of weapons just naturally around them.
Okay. Whoa.
Hey, just so you guys know, this is Jake. Jake is the founder of Game Changer Sports, my partner in all of this. He does the Tuesday football show, and he's jumped in when we did the draft special together. So Jake and I do a lot of stuff. So Jake's about to yell at me for saying something that I'm sure here in just a second.
Absolutely. I love how I'm already ready to yell. So, Teddy Bridgewater, let me tell you why he is going to be a fantasy stud. You seem a little hesitant on this. Now,
I'm torn. I am torn.
So, okay, that's fine. I'm going to tell you you're wrong. Teddy Bridgewater is coming from New Orleans in a Sean Payton system where, how did he do in the 9 games that Hi, Brendan, how are you? The 9 games that Drew Brees missed last year. Tell me, how did Teddy Bridgewater do?
What was the 9 games? Did he win? Was it 7? 6? I'm drawing
it was either 7 or 8. He had one actual loss.
Yeah.
He is a good quarterback.
Absolutely.
And I was in the middle of bringing up the stats when you were about to change subjects on me. I didn't appreciate that, so I made sure I came on this time. He finished 2019 with 1,384 yards, 9 touchdowns, and only 2 interceptions. Ooh. I had other sound coming right here. That was weird. And it was a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Now you take that and you're going to Carolina, and yeah, you might not have Michael Thomas now, but you got DJ Moore.
Christian McCaffrey. And that offense already ran through Christian McCaffrey. Bridgewater is a mobile quarterback. Right.
Absolutely nothing can go wrong for Teddy Bridgewater in Carolina now that Ron Rivera is out.
Again, yeah, there's all the making for it. Like I said, my only concern is, and we talked a little bit about this the last time on the football show, is the time frame in which they have a chance to get kind of connected to each other. And the difference in New Orleans, he had time. Breeze wasn't out. They had time in off season. They had time to build a knowledge of the playbook, a respect, and a connection between the players. Obviously, he wasn't listed as the original starter, so he didn't get as many reps as we will, going into this season. But there just isn't the time. So my concern is some of those guys that are fresh to the new systems, even though they have great talent around them, I don't know if I would call them fantasy studs for that reason. That's my only concern with that.
Give me 2 seconds. I am out here to prove you wrong. Matt Rule came from
I like
Green
Teddy
Bay.
Bridgewater. I like him a lot. I was very upset when stuff happened to him in Minnesota. He was on track to be a fantastic player for them. He came out of college, It proved a lot of people wrong, put up some great numbers, and then that injury, and then he proved people wrong again coming back from that injury, right? And it's fantastic to see him out there. And I'm rooting for him, especially since he's on a team I don't dislike, right? It's even easier to root for him.
How many playbooks has Teddy Bridgewater already learned?
This would be probably his third then?
Correct. So you're telling me that even in a shortened offseason, you don't think somebody like Teddy Bridgewater, he had X amount of time to learn that New Orleans playbook, and you already said he was working second reps. You don't need game time to learn a playbook.
No. But to build that continuity, to build that relationship with those guys, I think that's where, like I said, that's where for me, I think it makes a difference for him.
I strongly disagree. I think he's going to do just fine this year.
You got another person disagreeing with it. Teddy's got good opportunities. He's got a chance, and I think he's going to have a good season. He's going to be a better quarterback in Carolina because he's now got that season back under his belt of knowing he didn't get hurt, right? So he didn't get hurt in New Orleans, and he's going to be out there, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I just don't know about this year. And that's one of my favorite parts with Jake is we can agree to disagree on that one. And we could probably talk more about it. He'll probably bring this up on Tuesday. So tune in here or on Game Changer on Tuesday to hear Jake rant about me a little bit more. And I'm okay with that. Brandon says that Teddy should still be in Minnesota. The problem with Teddy still being in Minnesota is you just didn't know if he could come back from that injury, right? He did. He obviously did, and he's done a great job coming back from it. But you just didn't know at the time, and you didn't want to invest money that could be into a dead contract. So I understand why Minnesota didn't have him around. Because of that, he would obviously do very well in Minnesota's lineup right now, but he's not there for that reason. So, all right. So we're going to move into Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball, we're going to talk heavy into it tomorrow. I'm going to go a little bit over it right this moment, but we'll dive really into it on the Monday night show. A couple of the big things. You got the New York Yankees in the rivalry series with the Boston Red Sox absolutely beating up on the Boston Red Sox. The Red Sox are absolutely abysmal. They're being outscored overall 63 runs to 30. So it's not even close. They're not scoring runs. They're not putting numbers on the board. And the Yankees are firing on all cylinders. However, New York is now in a situation where they have 3 of their stud hitters on the injured list. You got Stanton, you got Judge, and now DJ LeMahieu all injured. Now, Stanton and Judge are the ones that are a little bit worrisome. DJ generally doesn't get hurt, so I would expect to see him back in the regular time frame, and it's unlikely to see him out for any length of time again. Stanton and Judge are obviously always hurt throughout the season. There's something going on with those guys, so that is more concerning, and it'd be a little worrisome to watch, making sure those guys get back on the field. But in their absence, they brought up Clint Frazier, and they got Andy Hart coming back up as well, but Clint Frazier has been on an absolute tear himself, picking up where those guys left off. So kind of lessening that blow just a little bit for the Yankees. Heather says, hey, the Red Sox are doing so bad. Yes, they are. I'm sorry. I know that's your team there. I apologize. And but John agrees with me on Teddy Bridgewater. There you go, Jake. John says I'm right. But yeah, baseball. So we were talking about the Red Sox. They're just terrible. Yankees are firing well. They got a few injuries, but they're picking it up with the guys they're bringing up. So back to the A's and Astros situation from earlier in the week. We had the fight that was caused by the bench coach from the Astros, Alex Citron. He ended up getting a 20-game suspension. That turned into a big conversation. Was 20 enough? Was 20 too much? Was it too light? And then Ramon Laureano ended up getting 6 games. He is appealing that. Probably get that down, I guess, to about 4. But the Astros coach is not appealing his suspension and will just take the 20 games, which is essentially the rest of the season. So I don't expect to even see him necessarily back. What do we got here? Branner says that Jake's having my back on Teddy. There you go. Michael says, why do they still make over the Yankees Red Sox rivalry? There's nothing exciting about it like it used to be. Because it's still one of the greatest rivalry in sports, right? It's one of those. It's a timeless rivalry. I mean, even back when the Red Sox hadn't won a World Series and weren't very good, previously, that was still a Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, right? It's just one of those things that will end up being, no matter how good or bad either or both teams are, it's going to be the one that just stands the test of time. Think about it. I know you're Packers and Bears. That's a rivalry that'll be around forever, no matter what. But sometimes both teams are absolute garbage. But it's a primetime game. It's a national, well-recognized rivalry between the two, so it's going to be around. Same thing with the Yankees and Red Sox. It's just going to be around whether you like it or not, right? Brandon Herrera asks, any update on the Reds? There is no current update on them right now. They have the one positive test, so they shut down the series. The good news is Brandon and I were actually talking about it earlier in the week. They do have additional games still left to play against each other, so they'll do additional double ups. It's going to get tough. It's going to get a little bit brutal on these guys. They do have expanded rosters this year. They were originally at 30 players. They were down to 28. They've stayed there. Originally, the season was going to cut it back to 26 players, but because of the COVID situation, all that, MLB has decided to leave it at 28 members on the roster at all times, with the rest obviously still being on the taxi squad back in their respective side locations. Wisconsin, up in Appleton is where the Brewers have theirs, so it's generally somewhere close to the home field. But yeah, so the games are still going to get in. They're starting to manage it, like we talked a little bit before earlier in the show. They're managing it a little bit better now. They're working towards finding a way to make sure that we don't have an outbreak, especially cross dugouts, right? If the Reds don't want to hand it off to the next team, so you shut it down, keep it within, try to kill it real quick, and then get back out on the field. We saw that with the Cardinals. They finally get back after like a 10-day hiatus, and they come back and they the rest was good for them. They swept the doubleheader, and it was good for them. But it's going to get tough here soon because they're going to have a lot more of those doubleheaders. And even though they're only playing 7-inning doubleheaders, that's going to add up on them pretty quick. Heather says we should just bring Cora back next season. You're never going to see Alex Cora coaching in the MLB, especially as a head coach again. Considering all the things with Houston and how the coaches were the ones that ended up getting in trouble, you're not going to see Cora back as a manager. It just isn't going to happen. But yeah, that's baseball with COVID. It's heading in the right direction. It sounds like, at least to this point, we avoided any issue with the A's and the Astros. That fight, like we were just talking about, there hasn't been any positive tests or issues with either one of those teams. So while we didn't want to see the fight, you don't necessarily want to see fighting in baseball. It's not hockey. It's not football, right? Baseball's a little bit different. I don't mind seeing a little bit of roughness, but it got a little out of hand, especially coach versus player. But we didn't see any positive tests, so that's a positive sign for us. That's great. In other suspension news, Joe Kelly, with the frowny face picture, of course, he got his suspension knocked down to 5 games, which is better than the 8. It's still, I think, a little heavy. I'd have done 3 or 4 maximum considering the situation. But Joe Kelly gets 5 games, not happy. Go look him up on Twitter. He is just lighting the MLB up, just losing it. I can't even say all the stuff he's been saying because we are a family show here at Circus Monkey Sports. So can't talk about everything he said. But Joe Kelly down to 5 games from 8. Big stuff going on in baseball is really, in my opinion, is around the young players. The young players are kind of ruling what's going on in baseball. We saw another prospect. We've seen a few throughout the season brought up. Another prospect was brought up, this time by the St. Louis Cardinals. Dylan Carlson is an outfield prospect. He came up wearing number 3. He's playing outfield, and he got a hit in his first day of baseball. It was a doubleheader. He went 0 for 3 and then finally got a hit in his second game. So congratulations to that one. But another rookie prospect coming up, the Dodgers brought up catcher Keibert Ruiz. He hit a home run in his very first MLB at bat, which is absolutely huge. And yes, as David said, the Brewers took 3 out of 4 from the Cubs, finally getting themselves together. So the Brewers finally coming off. Yelich hits another bomb in the series, got another double today. So they're starting to play well. Watch for the Brewers to start fighting their way up in the division. They're in the NL Central. They're still about 4.5 games behind the Cubs, and we saw the Cardinals having to catch up a bunch of games. So that division's wide open. We're going to see it quite a bit, and we'll dig a little deeper into to that tomorrow on the MLB show. We got another rookie, Bo Bichette, one of my favorite rookies to watch up in Toronto, or Buffalo, should I say, right now. He's going to have an MRI on his knee. We got a little bit of trouble there, and it doesn't look good, but it shouldn't be a full season out, but we got to watch for that. So early MVP or Cy Young leaders. The Cy Young is a little bit more wide open, in my opinion. Unfortunately, one of the Cy Young leaders is actually out because of the Plesac was pitching very well, and Clevenger had an opportunity. There's some other ones. I don't have an update on the Cy Young opportunity. MVP candidates, you got to look at a guy like Charlie Blackmon. You have to look at Aaron Judge, Fernando Tatis Jr. Those would be my front runners in their respective conferences there. But Tatis Jr. is kind of running away with stuff. He's in the tie for the lead in home runs. Mike Trout's playing some great baseball, especially since coming back from having his child. He is playing some just ridiculous baseball. He had 7 home runs in his first 9 games back from being a dad. It's been fun to watch him play again. He's kind of almost got like a renewed sense of energy. I think there was some trepidation before the season started with him, knowing his wife had the kid on the way and not with all the craziness of the world. And I think once he had the baby and knew that it was healthy and everything's good and his wife is good, he kind of went back out there and was kind of just playing with this like this little bit of ease as he's out on the field. And it was fantastic baseball again with him. So again, congratulations to Trout. But watch out. I mean, Charlie Blackmon's playing out of his mind. A sleeper strictly because of the batting average. Donovan Solano out of the San Francisco Giants playing some stupid good baseball himself right now. Especially he's batting over 400 still. DJ LeMahieu batting around. It was just over 400, but now he's off with an injury. And I don't know how that's going to affect him in a shortened season. So watch out. But I think right now you're definitely Tatis and Charlie Blackmon are some of your front runners for that. Ryan Braun still gets my MVP vote. Now, Michael, I'm a Brewers fan. We all know this. Ryan Braun's one of my favorite all-time players. Ryan Braun finally did something today. We get a leadoff triple from Orlando Arcia, and Braun finally drove him in. He has not played that great. He's still batting under 200. He's had some injury issues. This is Braun's, final hurrah. Whether you love him or hate him, this is really it for Ryan Braun. I wish him well. I hope he does great. But Ryan Braun maybe only get an MVP vote from you the rest of his career. So. But something else, I don't know if anybody else watches. I talked about this team before the season started. I talked about them just about every week because they're not my favorite team, but I'm just enthralled with how well they're playing. The Chicago White Sox have been playing some great baseball. The pitching's finally starting to come around. They got Tim Anderson back from injury, and he's back in the leadoff spot, taking a little bit of pressure off rookie Luis Robert. So they're playing some just fantastic baseball. But what great was they hit 4 home runs in a row in the 5th inning of today's game. I mean, they had a 3-run homer by Moncada, followed by a solo shot by Grandal, a solo shot by Jose Abreu, and another solo shot by Jimenez. 4 in a row, back to back to back to back. Yeah, I had to do it to make sure I didn't say it wrong. But 4 in a row is unreal. Michael Ellert says Braun will be back next year. No, he won't. Not in a Brewers uniform. But yeah, the White Sox are a ton of fun. A ton of fun to watch this season. I still think they have an opportunity, especially if the pitching comes back around. They're going to be a very, very dangerous team to watch. I did predict them as one of my World Series teams preseason, so I'm hoping they keep going in that direction, and they're the better team in Chicago, in my opinion. So that's going to be just about everything for us here today. One thing I do just want to promote real quick, I'm going to pop it up on screen. For those of you who haven't seen it, we do have a live show scheduled for the whole week. So if you've been seeing it, we're cross-platforming it, not only on Game Changer. These are the Game Changer shows that I'm affiliated with, but we're showing it on my page. So when you see it, I'm going to be on Mondays. I may not be on every week, but please check these shows out. So on Monday, we got the wind-up with myself and Nick Lombardi. It's a fantastic show. We had over 2,000 live viewers last week. Just some incredible viewership, tons of great conversation. We appreciate you guys jumping in with us. Tuesday, Jake, who you met before, and Nick Eubanks, different Nick, for football. Wednesday, we got the Circle Talk, Nick Lombardi again, and a couple different hosts on Wednesday for that. Thursday, Inside the Ice, our hockey show was our most watched show last week with the playoffs really kicking in place. I like hockey. I don't know as much about it. These guys know hockey. They study it. They do a great job. So check them out. And then, of course, on Thursday after that, we got Hunter and Elizabeth who are doing a great job. They're insanely knowledgeable about basketball. I love basketball. I know quite a bit about it. These two know even more than I do. So check them out late on Thursday. And then check out Saturday back again for Talk Interference Sports, who I said was on actually earlier today with talking UFC. And then, of course, I'm back with you guys to kick off your week on Sundays. So I want to thank everybody so much again for the hanging out with me on a Sunday night. Appreciate you guys so much every week. We come here and do something special. Couldn't do it without you guys. Thanks to Jake for jumping in behind the scenes and helping me out with stuff. Again, we had roughly 100 new likes and follows since the last time we talked. You guys are amazing. This is growing. Stay tuned. This show is just that list of stuff you saw is just the beginning. There is some crazy stuff on the way. Stay tuned. Thank you so much. It looks like a comment from Heather here. Brandon says Wednesday is the best show to check out. Monday is a close number 2. Brandon, I'll take number 2 from you. You're still number 1 in my heart, though. Okay. Dominique Jenkins, what's up? Good to see you. I always miss you. Hey, I'm messing with Jake now. I'm reading them backwards. How you doing? And then Heather, of course, have a great night. Looking forward to talking baseball tomorrow. Heather, thank you so much for stopping in again. Heather is another one of our super fans that stops in just about every single show. We're like best friends almost now. So Heather, thank you so much for it. So with that, I give you your Sunday evening back. Thanks again. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy sports.